Welcome, good people of the Church of the Lesser Saints.
Welcome, good people and loyal fans of Servant. It is the Season 2 Servant finale. I'm Uncle Bill. This is Aunt Sonja. And we have two amazing guests joining us remotely today. Sonja's son Dylan and his girlfriend Nicole. We wanted them to participate today as they are new Servant fans. We turned them on to Servant, and they binge-watched all 20 episodes. So we have a fresh perspective from some young Servant fans. Say hi, guys.
Hello. It's the season finale time. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
So you guys became Servant fans at a very strange time. Dylan, do you want to talk about the reborn doll situation?
Yeah, so me and Nicole go over to my friend's house every weekend, and I take control of the clicker, TV. I force them to watch whatever I'd like, and we were watching YouTube, and there's this Vice documentary short about reborn dolls, and it was talking about this woman who lives in the UK, basically how she creates these dolls from like budget all the way up to like $10,000 expensive dolls.
Wow.
She's got like clientele that comes back and buys multiple, and how it's made for people who lose their child as like a coping mechanism.
Okay.
And other people just collect them like Barbie dolls.
Well, did you guys know that the cast nicknamed the reborn doll on Servant Scary Jerry?
No. Scary Jerry.
That's
Why
funny.
Scary Jerry?
Because he's scary.
Oh,
You know,
Jericho.
And it
Of course.
rhymes.
Scary
But,
Jerry Jericho, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you first saw Scary Jerry and Servant, did it kind of freak you out a little bit and remind you of that?
Yeah, we just happened to watch it over at a friend's house where we first started watching or binging Servant. So when we
Yeah.
saw the doll, we were like, so crazy. We just watched that documentary like a week or two prior.
Yeah, it didn't really creep me out or anything, but just knowing that we had just watched that documentary on it and not knowing anything about the show, and then seeing that doll right away, I was like, well, that's a weird coincidence.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, that is a pretty cool story. But let's get into some overall thoughts about this episode first. What did you all think? Sonja, let's start with you.
Okay. Well, the episode was not what I expected, and I did not love it.
Preach.
Sure did not. For the first time in either season, I felt like there was some lazy writing, and we'll point out some specific examples later as we go through the episode or this review.
Yeah.
So I'm also so perturbed that Dorothy was rewarded without having to face what she really did to Jericho. Like,
Yeah.
at least, I don't know. I've been waiting for Leanne to open up a can of tomato soup whoop ass on Dorothy for like the last 3 episodes, and it didn't happen. And this is what we get, you know? So she gets rewarded for bad behavior. This is some BS. What do you think?
Well, as most of you viewers know, we're super fans, but I gotta say, it was really disappointing in this finale. Personally, I totally agree with you. The writing seemed very weak compared to every other episode. The pacing was a little weird, and Leanne was wearing the thickest, shiniest, clunkiest plot armor I think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
in an
absolutely.
episode.
It was almost as if they were so sure of the next 2 seasons that they didn't even think they needed a strong finale to me. So, and you know what? I hate to even say this because we've been staunch supporters of the pacing of the show this entire time.
Yeah.
So,
Well, no respect to young Miss Shyamalan,
disrespect? No disrespect?
no disrespect. Yeah. Did I say no,
No
respect?
Yeah, you said no respect.
Freudian slip, right? Freudian slip. No disrespect to young Miss Shyamalan. I know she's got talent, but I really wish M. Night would have directed this himself. And I feel it's hands down the weakest episode we've had so far. With all the waning support we've seen from fans lately, seeing the show slowing down, it's kind of going this way or that way. They really needed to close strong with this, and they didn't do it. But let's ask our guests what they thought. Nicole, let's hear your take first.
I mean, I think it's pretty disappointing to me too. Like, I was expecting to at least get some answers in the last episode. It kind of took me by surprise knowing that the episode was only 30 minutes long. I was like, how in the world is a season finale so short?
Right.
I don't know. I'm not very happy with it, but then again, season 2 to me isn't as good as season 1 either. So
Okay. Been hearing that a lot.
I agree. Season 1 was
I agree.
fantastic. I like season 2 too, but go ahead.
I was a little disappointed in the finale. However, I felt like we got more answers in the finale than we did in the previous few episodes combined.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I wasn't happy with the finale because the season 1 finale was so spectacular, and it ended. All of the episodes going up to the season finale were so good as well. Like, I felt like the last 2 or 3 episodes, the pacing was starting to slow down too much.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we didn't, I don't know, like after binging season 1, I had the luxury of just being able to start immediately up season 2. I can't even imagine what you guys felt like when you finished season 1. You're like so excited for the next episode, where like I'm not as excited to see season 3 episode 1. I still need answers for a lot of things, but it didn't like pop like I wanted it to.
Right.
I was going to say that intrigues me, Dylan, how you said that you feel like you got more answers in this last season than the last few. Because when it ended for me, I was like, well, I have more questions. So that's
more
interesting.
questions too.
Yeah.
Well, let's go through the episode and break down what we did and didn't like.
Well, the scene opens up with Leanne holding Scary Jerry, and she sees Aunt Josephine outside her window. Aunt Josephine was the unexpected arrival, and she knocks on the door. She's there to complete the ritual on Leanne that George couldn't go through with.
She also brought the Betamax player so we can finally see what was on that tape.
She immediately starts working her magic on Dorothy.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Well, she begins to butter her up. She knows exactly what to say to get Dorothy's attention.
Mm-hmm.
Everything she says at this point is exactly what Dorothy wants to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what Dorothy tells herself about herself.
Right.
She's agreeing with that picture that Dorothy has painted in her mind, that she's not the villain, but the victim.
Right.
The brave mother that is enduring all this trauma for her child.
Wow.
For example, she immediately calls Dorothy the warrior.
That made me sick to my stomach.
Dorothy Turner, the warrior.
And you see Dorothy is almost completely disarmed.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of stuff about warrior in the Bible. I'm thinking it could have meant a spiritual warrior. Or do you guys, you know what? That actually reminded me of episode in season 1. Do you guys remember that episode when Dorothy said she was She-Ra in the Haggis episode? Well, if you don't,
I do remember.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm She-Ra. I'm strong. But I'm going to play the clip.
I am a mother now. I am a ferocious lioness, and I am capable of healing myself. I am She-Ra, and I am stronger than any one of you know.
Ugh. I hardly call Dorothy a warrior. So what do you guys think about that? Dorothy was eating it up. She loved what she was hearing, but made a conscious effort to resist completely, falling into the woman's arms and giving her exactly what she wanted. It was the butt kissing of a lifetime. It was Dorothy. It's what Dorothy wants from every other character in the series. We see all the psychological skill Josephine employs on Dorothy, on her ego. And she works Dorothy, breaking her down. And, Dorothy does break and gives her access to Leanne. What are your thoughts, guys? Dylan?
I feel like Dorothy, I'm a Dorothy hater, first of all.
Yeah,
but
yes.
I think that
Good boy.
she is a warrior. She's a bad mom, and she killed her baby. But if we're going to believe that she's in this delusional state and she doesn't remember, per se, her misbehaving as a mother, she is a warrior. She's proven over time that she'll do whatever it takes, both at work and in her personal life, with stealing Leanne, inventing the pizza business, a whole bunch of other things. Like, she's clearly ferocious. So I would say she is a warrior, but not
a little more generous.
mother warrior.
She's a crazy warrior.
Yeah, crazy warrior.
Yeah, she's crazy.
She's definitely relentless.
Yeah, she is. Nicole?
I mean, honestly, I don't even remember her being called a warrior in the episode, but if I were to look back on it, I kind of agree with Dylan where she has been doing all this insane stuff just to get Jericho back. So she's been, like, in my opinion, she's been fighting her booty off to try and get this baby back. But I don't know. I don't know if I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, she is a warrior.
Okay.
But is it the right type of warrior? I don't know. It is very interesting how Aunt Josephine comes in and she knows exactly how to play Dorothy to get what she wants. Like, that interests me a lot because these people, even you saw it with like Aunt May and Uncle George too, they know so much about this family, but they're just stepping into the house just because Leanne's there. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Right.
They can get into their psyche. I definitely think Dorothy has the personality traits of a warrior. She, like I said, she's relentless.
She's type A.
Yeah, she is definitely a type A personality. I think that's why that job is a good job for her, you know. But I just wish that she would have been that much of a warrior when she left Jericho in the car.
Hey, there it is.
So,
right? A little more of a warrior, right? Well, then Sean goes upstairs to warn Leanne that her aunt is here. When Leanne hears that it's Josephine, she gets really scared and asks him, not to leave her alone with her, and which of course they do. And then we see Josephine separates Sean and Dorothy, which was expertly done, I think. She tells Dorothy she's given her the truth and hands her the yellow onesie that looks like the one that Leanne found in the rat box in season 1.
Right.
Yeah.
And here we see a little bit of Aunt Josephine's supernatural abilities as she used her mind to lock Sean in one of the other rooms.
Right.
And then Sean tried to unlock his phone, which reminded me of Sean in season 1 where he couldn't get the passcode on that alarm system.
Yeah.
And I think it was in episode 2. Do you guys remember that scene with the passcode?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it was the episode where he sous vide the trout.
Hey, Dylan, you're pretty big on sous vide, right?
Yeah, that's the first time I've seen anyone sous vide anything in any type of media that I've watched.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it was some type of whole fish. It even had the scales on it, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly.
Have you ever sous vide trout or any type of fish yourself?
Salmon only.
Oh, okay.
But
how'd it come out?
the best way to cook a steak, chicken, it's perfect. It's like boiling food without boiling. So it was just kind of cool to see, especially in season 1, he was doing something chefy in every episode. Yeah. As soon as he pulled out that sous vide machine, I'm like, this man knows how to cook. I like
it. Well, the next scene, Josephine is asking Leanne what she wants. And Leanne says she wants to stay there with the Turners. It was reminiscent of a scene in season 1, episode 4, Bear, when Sean asked Leanne why she chose them. And Leanne says, I knew I'd be happy here.
Why us?
I knew I'd be happy here.
Yeah.
As long as she's not being buried alive,
right.
I guess.
Or knocked out. Well, now we see Josephine hand Leanne the tape. Finally, we get to see what is on this amazing Betamax we've been waiting for.
Was it everything you hoped for?
Hell no, it wasn't. I expected a huge bombshell of information, maybe from Leanne's past that explains exactly what she is and why she has to do what they say or something. All we got was a 70s style PSA on how to kill a whatever Leanne is. I was thoroughly disappointed. Weren't you?
Actually, no, I wasn't disappointed. Yeah. You were wait, who was it? Who was disappointed?
Nicole.
Nicole.
Oh, go ahead, Nicole. Why were you disappointed?
What is this tape? It's like an info commercial on how to do a ritual. I wanted more from it than that.
Right.
Oh my
Why did you like it? Why did you like it?
Because Like whenever Leanne is like whipping herself, and then they like show like a flashback of like that big fat dude whipping himself in front of all those cult members.
Yeah.
Like that's got a totally different feel than these like Billy Blanks looking dudes on this infomercial telling you how to, resurrect someone or do some type of reuniting or whatever.
My goodness.
It's like we went from dark and gritty self-punishment to like blockbuster ad Betamax thing.
They made it look better than it is, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why'd you like it though?
I liked it. It was my favorite part of the episode.
Really?
So,
okay, why?
First of all,
They call me Uncle Frederick.
Frederick was
Now
creepy
guiding
as
you
all
through your
get out.
Yeah, he was.
And was the inspiration for our introduction.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it was everything this show represents. It was quirky, it was and weird, but in a good way, a good disturbing way, kind of way.
Yeah.
Plus, we learned why George was banging his head to Love Shack.
Oh,
that alone was worth the price of admission.
Okay. But when it showed all the cult members like attacking themselves in the group, I did think that one guy was going super soft on himself. Everyone else is biting, ripping pieces of flesh off, and he's just kind of popping his face. It was, he was sandbagging.
Another thing I really like were the visual aids, like the invocation sign and the ritual instructions.
The 3 Ps.
It was clear, it was concise, it was easy to follow. We also saw some more demonic artwork that I think inspired the mural.
Yeah.
When they talk about who the real enemy is, it made me think about Roscoe, and I'm hoping this isn't what Roscoe was referring to when he said they're not like us, because he made it seem like they were angels, but here they just seem psychotic.
Yeah. When they talk about the enemy, are they referring to demons or are they the demons? We're still not sure. Kids, did you at least find it funny? The PSA. I know you gave us our thoughts on it. Nicole, you didn't like it like me, and Dylan, you said it. But
I didn't like it. I didn't like it, but kind of going off what Sonja said with the signs and the graphics and everything, that maybe this video being the way it is and the way it was done is indicating that there's more of a simplistic route to the show than what we're led to believe.
Okay.
Kind of like my mind is like, I have questions, I need answers, who, what, when, where, why, but maybe it's more simple than that.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I just wonder when that thing was filmed. Like, it looks like you guys said, it looks like it's from the 70s. Are these just old tapes that they made back then? And then, is it just a one-size-fits-all? They just send it to everyone who needs to fulfill those steps? Or, I don't know. They make it seem like it's so individualized to each person, but
maybe not,
it just
right?
seems like it might have, like they may have evolved as a cult. Maybe that was an old video, and what we see as the cult members now are just current day, like 40 years of evolution or whatever. I don't know.
All right. That's another good point. But before we get into the next topic, I just want to stop and thank you guys for watching and listening from home. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without you, so please subscribe to this channel on YouTube and leave a comment down below. We love to respond to you guys and interact, and we really want to hear what you guys think on this episode in particular, and where you think things are going to go for Servant in Season 3. So, now, things get wild. Josephine starts berating Leanne, reminding her of her place, and basically condemning her fantasy of living with the Turners as her daughter. Leanne tries to run, and Josephine, throwing her to the ground, begins the steps in the PSA on how to kill a Leanne. The instructions say step 1 is blinding, which can be done with oil, a knife, or their fingers. Jeez. It reminds me of Roscoe talking about the blinding and they take their eyes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like they really do. I thought it was figurative, but I guess not. So Josephine goes with the oil. And here's where we see some of the bad production, if not bad writing, because they actually just use water in the show, which is obviously more convenient for filming. But it's supposed to be oil, obviously, and her face wasn't even glistening. It dried up right away. If it was oil, we would have been able to tell it's oil, But it just made it weird for us viewing, because we know from Uncle George's thing there was oil in there, right? I don't know. Anyway, we know she's supposed to throw oil on her face, but obviously they didn't, and it just seems lazy. Did you guys notice all that, Nicole and Dylan?
I didn't notice it, but from my first watch, I only watched it, one time through. I haven't went back to rewatch it yet, but I just got the feeling that it was holy water. Like Aunt Josephine somehow blessed this bottle and poured it on her, and she's, somehow demonic in some sort of way, and the holy water burned her eyes. But I do remember Uncle George opening it up, and it looked like a vial of yellow.
And their
oil.
instructions say oil.
I don't know.
Knife or fingers, right?
In the video, yeah.
So,
yep.
Nicole?
Which is interesting to me. When I first watched it through, and I've only watched it one time as well, is I definitely got the impression that it caused her pain. Now, is it oil? I'm not too sure. And when we're talking about blinding, is it blinding permanently, or is it just enough to do the next step in the ritual? I kind of have this idea of it possibly, to me, represented more of like pepper spray than anything.
Yeah, I get that.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what you're referring to with the bad writing.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be
obvious, clear.
I mean,
right? Yeah.
For me, I was intrigued and engrossed, and I believed it to be oil. I don't know. That was just me, though. So I didn't think the writing was too bad on it.
Okay, all right.
Well, after she blinds her and has her at her mercy, Josephine just decides to go take a punishment break out of nowhere. Yeah, she's gonna go stab herself with a fork. Which is just, in my opinion, more Leanne plot armor convenience. Josephine puts on pennies from heaven and starts stabbing her leg with a fork for no damn reason. This allows Leanne enough time to recover and acquire a weapon.
Yeah. So that oil or water, that's going to leave a mark. I'm sure of it. At first, I
don't
thought,
understand why any of them hurt themselves. It doesn't make any sense. Like, do they feel personally responsible for how Leanne is acting? Like they're her parents?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Uncle George banging his head first, but stabbing herself with a fork.
Yeah, we're going to explain that a little later on.
Understand?
We're going to explain that a little later on.
Good, because I need clarity.
Drama Queen Dorothy is doing her "I'm going to kill myself" thing again.
Insufferable.
She's locked herself in the nursery and has a makeshift noose tied to the side of the crib.
Oh, now you kind of scoffed at that when it came on.
Yeah, how was she supposed to hang herself on that short makeshift rope or choke herself? Or maybe, I don't know, how would you choke yourself out with that? I just don't see how she was planning to kill herself with that.
Again, I think this is Dorothy's theater. She keeps pulling this card out. Sean believes it. But just as I said, she has no intention on going through with it, which she doesn't again. But I still think this is the lazy writing in this episode, because this little episode, Dorothy pulls with the "I'm going to kill myself." Mm-hmm. Let me clarify that. Mm-hmm. Gives Josephine more time to attack Leanne without interference.
Do you guys think she would have done it, killed herself, or do you guys think she was just doing it for attention?
At first, I want to say yes, but now that we're sitting here kind of discussing it, I think that Dorothy is an ultimate manipulator, and her going these drastic routes kind of get her what she wants or what she wants to hear. So not necessarily. I don't know if she would do it, but at first I was I was like, yeah, she would, because it hurts her, but I don't know. Yeah,
whenever she made the makeshift noose in Leanne's room, I was convinced that she would go through with it. But now looking back after I see her connecting these to this crib, obviously she can't kill herself from that position. So I think she's doing it to manipulate. And I think with Leanne, it was proven in this episode that she did kind of manipulate Leanne a little with that stunt. But yeah, she's not gonna go through with it. And I thought they even kind of deceived me a little bit, because when Aunt Josephine brings her that baby garment for Jericho, right? It almost seemed like when she was sniffing it, like she could smell death, right? Like she could smell that the baby died in that. But I don't believe that was what the baby was wearing when it died. So I don't know. I thought maybe she's gonna try to kill herself. But even then, there's much better ways to do it than a 2.5 foot tall crib.
Well, then Josephine starts a fire in the hellhole downstairs, while Leanne hides from her. The usually intelligent Leanne stupidly just runs for the door and is caught within seconds. Again, lazy writing. Wasn't that completely out of her character? Or do you think that was reasonable considering what she was going through, guys? You know what I mean? Where she got up and just ran and knowing she's going to get caught easy.
I mean, I'll go along with it just because it seemed like she was absolutely terrified of Aunt Josephine, grabbing the weapon like you mentioned before. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just lazy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily out of her character, because have we not seen her run for doors in other episodes? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, but not well.
But also, we're led to believe.
Not while Josephine's just standing right there. Like, there's no way you could have got through without getting caught.
What is so confusing to me is, like, in my eyes, we're led to believe that she has some type of power.
Right.
And why is she not using these powers? Like, what? I don't get it. I don't understand that.
And she's pretty strong. She handled Natalie, a grown woman, like she was a child.
Josephine has powers.
Oh,
too.
yeah, like a rag doll.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they're assuming that Josephine's powers are just way stronger, but then they probably should have indicated that some way, showed her try. I don't know. Anyway, well, that was the point where Josephine extremely overpowers Leanne, and now we've seen Leanne is quite physically strong. Like I said, she handled Natalie easily, but Josephine makes her look like a child. Throws her down and starts part 2 of the ritual, which is cutting the limbs, and we see her slice into Leanne's right arm, which is pretty nasty. And then Leanne's plot armor kicks in, and Dorothy comes along and whacks Josephine in the head with a shovel, knocking her out.
Yeah. You know what Bill said? Didn't you say that was the only thing Dorothy has done in these 2 seasons that you liked?
Yeah, it was.
She's so good at it.
Yeah. So Dorothy and Leanne have a little moment of tenderness at this point. But have neither of these two seen enough horror movies to know that you just can't leave Jason Freddy Myers laying there unconscious without either killing them or tying them up? Because they're going to get up and come at you again. We all know this.
Yeah.
At this point, Leanne tells Dorothy. Yeah, right? Leanne tells Dorothy that Jericho is out there and she's going to bring him back, to which Dorothy, actually thanks her.
Dylan and Nicole, when she said Jericho's out there, where do you think Jericho has been or is? Or
where do you think there is?
Nicole has a good theory on this.
Oh, okay.
But I just have something short to say. I always just thought that, I took them for the word that they took Jericho, which isn't Jericho, it's some other random white baby, but they took the other baby and is being, held up with the cult. Like they're taking care of this baby wherever they went to go torture the black dude, the driver or security officer guy, Roscoe.
So where is he now? Just chilling outside?
No, I think the cult is taking care of them, like they have them in wherever their hideout is, wherever their dungeon cult lair is, and they're just taking care of them as a community. That's what Uncle George said, right? So I just took him for his word.
But in this episode, I guess we need to know how much time had passed before when Leanne was gone, before Dorothy realized that Jericho was back. It didn't seem like very much time had passed. So was
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so was
Like,
Jericho just chilling outside?
Oh.
Yeah, right. They have one in the car.
He had to have been retrievable in the amount of time that the scene ended.
Exactly.
I know what you mean. Okay.
Exactly.
So-
Oh, I got no answers for that.
Yeah, Nicole, what do you got?
Here's my theory. I think it's like an astral dimension type place.
Okay.
So if you noticed in the episode, once they did that ritual on Aunt Josephine and she was gone, like Leanne kind of just disappeared, and then she was all of a sudden back. So I think it's kind of like that. I kind of related it to the movie Insidious, or maybe like the Upside Down and Stranger Things.
Okay.
So I think it's some kind of astral dimension where maybe they retrieve them from there. I don't know. It's kind of playing on the demon angel thing too, but that's my thought on it.
Okay.
All right. I actually think Jericho is where Julian said he saw him, saying he was fine. Maybe he's in purgatory.
Hey.
Isn't
which
it?
is an astral plane, basically.
Yeah, right. I mean, isn't that where Christians say souls wait till the big day?
Yeah.
So maybe that's how they can bring him back. I don't know. Now, Bill, at the
I
beginning.
actually forgot about that.
Yeah, so purgatory, maybe. Well, one thing you were not wrong about was the Jason Freddie Myers getting back up. Because as soon as Dorothy leaves the room, Josephine jumps Leanne again and proceeds to put a whooping on Leanne as she's heating up George's ceremonial dagger.
Why do you guys think she was heating up the dagger? Do you think there's some spell on it that it had to be held up to kill Leanne, or heated up to kill Leanne, or Josephine, or
No,
why?
but isn't that part of the ritual that we saw in that video? It was oil, a hot dagger, or something else. And so it was just Leanne performing the same ritual in my eyes using the hot dagger. Yeah.
Well, did the ritual say to heat the dagger up? I know it said you can use it to do their eyes to blind them, and then you burn their body.
I think it said heated dagger.
It
Yeah,
did?
it said, I'm pretty sure it said heated. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but she needed to cut her first,
Well, she.
slice her arm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That was weird.
Maybe she had a cut in the back of her head from the
The
shovel.
writing.
Yeah. Again.
They were specific in that video. They gave clear instructions. They needed to cut the
Cut the
arm,
limbs.
cut the limbs.
Then we hit the worst part of this episode, for me anyway. You guys tell me what you think, but for me, it was the absolute worst. During the struggle, Leanne snatches Josephine's veil off, revealing her minor to medium scar on her face that completely stops the fight as Josephine freaks out, touches her face in horror, that someone's seen the scar, and the fact that there's only one person in the room and that she's trying to kill her, so I don't know why. This was just whack-ass writing to me. Are you guys with me on that, or am I being too harsh on the show?
A little harsh.
Harsh.
I don't know. It looks like she had, maybe had the ritual done on her in the past, like as if she had been blinded by some hot oil or
Okay. Why would that?
water
Why
or
would Leanne
whatever.
seeing it stop the fight? She had her.
Yeah, she didn't stop the fight. Yeah. But from the moment she walked through the door, all I kept saying in my head was like, take the damn veil off. Like, why do we have the veil on? Like, we can't see you. So she was clearly self-conscious about it because,
Well, then they should have made the
Dorothy
scar
seemed
worse.
to be
Right. They should have made the scar way worse then.
Maybe she got that scar because she went through the same ritual she's trying to perform on Leanne.
Maybe. Well, then, out of nowhere, Leanne is the one with the power of She-Ra, and she drops Aunt Josephine with one punch. Josephine scrambles on all fours to put her veil back on in the middle of this life and death fight.
It's pretty convenient because it gives Leanne enough time to grab the dagger and drop an Arnold Schwarzenegger-esque a one-liner on Aunt Josephine. She says, "Vanity is a sin," and then stabs her in the eye. So,
Yeah, man. Considering Aunt Josephine was supposed to be the big bad of season 2, she was dispatched relatively easy. Don't you guys think? Dylan, Nicole?
100%.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, she was dispatched way too quick. I I never really thought that she was the big bad of the entire cult.
Okay.
I just thought that she was like Leanne's penultimate villain.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole, you had mentioned that you were thinking that maybe Leanne is the most powerful one, right?
Yeah, because if we kind of look back on it, Leanne is absolutely terrified of these people, not only Aunt Josephine, but Uncle George and Aunt May in a way too. But in the end, she comes out being successful in all of her interactions with them. She's the big bad. I mean, I want to say she's sweet and nice and innocent, but I just can't stop thinking that there's something demonic about her.
Yeah, maybe that's where the show's going. That'd be interesting.
Maybe. And I mean, I'm sad that this is the last show. I have to wait another year to watch Servant again. But I'm also a little sad too, because I'm kind of with Nicole. I'm thinking I always thought that Leanne was good, but I'm thinking she might be bad, and maybe she's got this darkness in her, like she said, and that she doesn't maybe know about. This.
Maybe the cult is trying to eradicate her, whatever they're trying to do to her, because she's the ultimate leader.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah,
She's the only one who had the balloon. That was kind of weird.
What?
Yeah.
When she season finale is season 1 episode finale, she's the only one with the balloon. They're all kind of circling around her.
Praising her.
Yeah. So maybe she's just unaware of it, but she's becoming aware. So
yeah,
she's naive.
Well, when Dorothy returns with Sean to the basement, Josephine and Leanne are gone, with only a smoldering pile of coals left in the hole in the basement, which, another bad writing, neither one of them acknowledges.
If someone had a fire pit going in my house, it would be immediately, I'd be immediately stomping it out or kicking some dirt on it, something. Dorothy immediately goes back to the Jericho thing, not worried about Leanne's safety and what happened with Aunt Josephine. She's just worried about herself.
I mean, based off previous episodes, they have been a little more lax than I would be. Like, they let Uncle George use the grill in the backyard without even questioning. So someone asked me to use my grill, I need to know what you're doing. Like, are you cooking me food? You cooking yourself food? You burning a body? Like, what are you doing? So I guess coals in the basement isn't like that crazy if you're just letting random men use your grill. But
yeah, all these weird events, like after the first couple of events of Leanne getting to this house, like, get out of my house. Like, you guys are weird.
I never thought about that. Dylan, why don't you want them using your grill?
Hey, that's a man thing.
I mean, that's an active fireplace. Right? That's a fire hazard.
Oh, that's funny.
Plus, my grill, my baby.
Well, while Dorothy and Sean are waiting for Leanne, Sean tries to confess something in the bedroom that happened while he was gone for that week. What do you guys think he was going to confess, Dylan and Nicole?
I personally think he was just going to kind of go over what happened while he was in California doing his TV show. Kind of like bringing to light, like, hey, Dorothy, this is what happened. I was gone. Do you remember this day and Jericho being in the car? That's what that was my first thought seeing it, was he was just kind of rerun the situation.
So do you think he was going to tell Leanne?
I think as a viewer.
Do you think he was going to tell Dorothy what happened to Jericho?
Yeah, because at that point in the episode, I'm thinking that they think Leanne and Aunt Josephine are gone, and there is no Jericho coming back home. So I think Sean was going to try to get Dorothy to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But then all of a sudden, the baby monitor, she's got the batteries in, and it's just back to the start of the circle.
Yeah. Same thing,
honestly, Dylan? I mean, clearly he was going to tell her what happened, but as a viewer, I almost forgot that she doesn't even know. There's been 6, 7 characters that have mentioned on several times, you need to tell her, the dad, the massage therapist, the brothers, the husband, even people who don't even live in the house, Leanne, Uncle George. All these people are like, you need to tell Dorothy. And I almost keep forgetting that no one's told her. Like, it's almost talked about every other episode. But, she's just done some, psychological break on herself, and no one's even attempted to tell her that you killed your own baby by leaving her in the car. So she's still living in this self-created delusion, and no one has the guts to come out and tell her. But he was about to, and then,
I have a different.
That's what I
have a different opinion, but I like that. I like that a lot. And I'd hope that was what he was going to say. I just thought, because he had guilt about him even going, so I think he was just going to admit to her that he lied about having to go film the show. Because he held a lot of guilt for that, because if he would have stayed, it wouldn't have happened. And even though it's not his fault at all, as her husband and the father of Jericho, he was very guilty about that. So I thought that's what he was going to do. But I think a lot of fans are going to assume that he cheated on her. I don't know where they got that idea, but I've heard a lot of ramblings about that through the entire season. That while he was gone, he cheated. Why do they say that? I have no idea, but I bet we're going to hear that a lot.
I don't think so.
I don't think
it kind of makes sense if you think about the banter between Dorothy in the first season. Like when she's in the bathtub, they're always making sexual comments like, "Oh, are you gonna have sex with Leanne?" It's just kind of
he shouldn't quite say
true.
that, but
Almost
something
like it
that.
happened in the past.
Yeah.
He said, "Well, are you mad that there's
almost
young,
like
coochie in the house?"
Like you don't say that without.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think he cheated either. You guys, everybody knows I'm Team Sean. So, don't be talking about Sean. Well, I thought he was finally, I'm with you guys. I'm with Nicole and Dylan, that I thought he was finally going to tell her what had happened to Jericho. And I was like, yes, finally, tell her. But as usual, Dorothy doesn't let Sean finish his thought. And we, like Nicole said, we don't get to hear what it is, because Leanne starts singing in the nursery, nursery rhymes over the baby monitor. And then they track it down to the nursery to find Leanne with a very much alive baby Jericho, which a lot of our fans, or not even our fans, but a lot of the servant fans have left in the comments that that's what they thought, or that's what they wanted to happen. Right. So, and thinking on it now is like, well, it's supposed to be 2 more seasons, maybe 6 seasons total. I guess we kind of needed him to come back. Maybe he'll disappear again in season 3 or something for the show to go on.
I don't know.
I mean, is he real or is he not?
Right.
Right. Exactly.
I said earlier that that one scene was the worst scene for me, but this one was also really bad for me, because Dorothy, no matter how poorly she's acted throughout this entire show, ends up getting exactly what she wanted. That she doesn't deserve, in my opinion. What do you guys feel? Do you feel she deserved it? Was she worthy of this?
No, she doesn't deserve it, but, merely as a plot advancing point, I'm happy that it happened, because, next season, I don't know how you guys feel, but, the show has played its course with this back and forth cult baby thing, where we need to advance the story beyond this, maybe even have some additional sets outside of this one house, in the street. Like, can we broaden the filming? I love how it's filmed. I love the camera angles. I love all this, but we need to kind of, if the show is going to go another 2 seasons, we need to branch out of this household, or
yeah, I agree with that, because if season 3, I don't mind if it starts out kind of with the whole baby cult thing, but if it continues to go that route, like, you're going to lose me, because that's just, I've had enough at that point. It's like this big old circle, and I need answers, and I'm not getting what I want. So,
yeah, I wonder if in season 3, if we're going to see Dorothy hurt Jericho again, like in season 1 when Aunt May says, he's going to hurt you, he's going to hurt him again. So I'm wondering if we're going to see him it's not him, see Dorothy,
Neglect.
be neglectful with.
My heart will be broken if that happens.
Ooh,
Right.
hot take. Dorothy gonna kill Jericho. Leanne gonna kill Dorothy. Leanne going to marry Sean and have the children that she's always wanted and husband and happy life.
Unless.
And Dorothy's the big bad.
Okay, that's
Wow.
something.
We should
That's
get you on the
theory.
writing staff there.
I have thought of,
Unless
I
Leanne's already
have thought
pregnant.
about Dorothy being the big bad.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
her
possible.
and Julian.
I'm sorry, Nicole. I interrupted you.
Oh, I was just saying I have had that thought of Dorothy actually being the big bad before.
So Dorothy's happy, and of course she didn't even say thank you to Leanne as usual at this point. We hear Leanne talk about the consequences to come. She's in her bed, talking about what's going to happen. It seems to me that she was talking to Josephine, who's obviously defeated, but I don't think she's gone. Maybe physically, but she's obviously able to communicate with her spirit or something. What do you guys think? Because she did say at one point, killing you is going to start a war. I know this. And then it showed Josephine in the wall. So,
Well, then she's not physically gone now, is she?
well, is she
Her
talking?
body's in the
Well, her
wall.
body was all burnt up. Her body's all burnt up, but
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
looking up. Like, is she talking to Josephine from this other plane, maybe, or purgatory or...
Possibly.
I thought she was just talking to herself, but but I mean, I could see how it could be like she was talking to Aunt Josephine.
And then this kind of goes along with my theory that I don't think Josephine is the big bad, because if she thinks that this is going to start a war, that would entail that there's someone that's going to be looking for her that can enforce a war or has the power to have the cult come after Leanne as an individual, meaning that Josephine can't be the king or queen of the operation, because most likely someone's going to have to come investigate their house, somehow sense the spirit or presence of Josephine and know that Leanne made the sacrifice.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Wonder if it smells like barbecue. Probably,
Ew.
it probably stinks in there.
Yeah, another writing issue, I think. You can't smell that? Come on. Sean's got his sense of smell back.
true.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I want more answers. We didn't learn what the cult is about. It didn't explain who Leanne is, what her job in the cult is, what the dark thing in her is. What did we learn?
Well,
No,
yeah, right.
shed some light.
Well, we got confirmation on why George was beating his head on the wall to Love Shack.
Yeah.
We know why he was crying so hard in the bathroom. I think he really did love Leanne,
Okay.
and that's why he couldn't do those things to her, Also, we know why Leanne whips herself. We got confirmation about, you mentioned earlier, Roscoe's memory while being hypnotized, that they really do literally take the eyes out.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, Dorothy got what she didn't deserve, Jericho back. So what did you guys think? How'd you guys feel about it?
All of what you just said, but I also learned that the Betamax thing, we kind of, in a roundabout way, get to see what the Betamax is from the previous episode that Uncle George watched. I learned that what the wooden toy spire in the basement was actually for. That was kind of confusing. I finally found out that that's for the PSA thing.
Dorothy being the least deserving mother ever, but whatever. I am happy that one of my early theories about the cult was confirmed. Okay, when I did some research on cults, I found that they almost always have a central theme. They're centered around a certain principle like sex, love, poverty, space aliens, whatever. And as it turns out, this cult focused on suffering. All right. And I called that real early. And this episode showed us that they definitely do, in the weirdest way, What questions do you two have about
Yeah.
about
Well,
that?
that kind of answered Dylan's question earlier about
Right.
what kind of cult this was.
Right,
So
right.
they're a suffrage
a
cult.
suffrage cult?
So there are cults out there who hurt
Right.
themselves.
Right.
That's what.
That's the only way they can get close to God is. And you had asked, like, why are they doing that? Right? Why do they play the music and then hurt themselves? It's to disconnect from happiness and earthly attachment. You know, so like me, I play
Right.
like De La Soul's Me, Myself, and I, and then bust my teeth out. You know, it's like something happy. And oh, I
Kind
love
of like
it.
Dobby from Harry Potter.
Okay. Okay, that's
Yeah,
Funny.
very close.
yeah.
But-
That's a good point.
I have a question though too. Like, does the cult also, because they're a suffrage cult, use others' suffering to disconnect? Because like they're like Dorothy's suffering, her baby's gone. So
True.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is weird. And I guess we shouldn't say suffrage because that's more like the women's right to vote. But yeah, y'all know what we mean.
Yeah.
So what do you guys
No,
think?
I think it's almost. They've almost kind of, made it seem like, Jesus Christ, like they're suffering to save other people. Like when
a good
Leanne
point.
left the other house for the pizza house,
Uh-huh.
that the father ended up killing, everyone, right? And Uncle George kind of made it sound like the reason why this happened is because you didn't you didn't suffer like you should have, and you left. You didn't do your duty,
Right.
so that's why all those
didn't
people
see it
died.
through,
So it
yeah.
almost seems like they don't want other people to suffer. They want to endure it all on behalf of everyone
Yeah.
else, not the cult.
Jesus Christ themes. So, yeah, I see that.
This show gives me a headache.
Well, what do you guys think the theme of season 3 will be? What are your predictions or speculations? Where do they go from here?
I have no clue. Just tell me who Leanne is.
Is that
We
What
need-
I want.
We need an inside look at the cult, and then to see who is going to be put in the position to try to punish Leanne. Because there's no way, we don't know where Uncle George is. What happened to Uncle George? Julian was a no-show in the season finale. What's Julian up to? I still feel like he might be scheming something in the background. We don't know where they really are hid out at, and who is possibly going to start the quote-unquote war with Leanne. So
Yeah, I'd like to
obviously-
see more about the cult.
yeah, they need to tell us more about. I got too many questions about the cult. I know I get the suffering thing. I get a little bit of the hierarchy and some of the symbolism.
But we need much
I
more.
need to know,
I'm gonna need another Betamax
is it
tape.
supernatural? There's too many supernatural things have happened for this to be not supernatural. So they need to tell us more about what demonic or good forces are going on.
How they get their powers.
Well,
Yeah.
I read that there were 12 ancient wars lifted from the Bible, one of which was the Battle of Jericho. So I'm wondering who the Church of the Lesser Saints are going to send now to kill Leanne and what kind of war it will be. I personally think that we will see Aunt May and Uncle George in season 3, even though Aunt Josephine said that they were that they were out of the picture at the beginning of the episode. I think we'll see him again. I think maybe Leanne will tell Sean and Julian everything about the cult. She'll tell Sean, Julian, and all of us everything about the cult so that they'll be ready for the attack, maybe. And then it's to play on what you said earlier about them leaving the house. I saw an article that the actors were spotted filming season 3 in Ocean City, New Jersey earlier this month. They're out of the house. So perhaps they may leave the brownstone for a bit, or it could just be a flashback scene. Who knows?
Either way.
But they were filming outside of the house. So what do you guys have any different ideas or of what we're going to see in season 3? What, Bill?
We need to know also. I know there's 2 more seasons, but we need to know who is the baby? What is the baby? Where did the baby come from? Where is actual Jericho?
Well, actually, Jericho's dead.
Is he though? Because we don't know
Yeah,
still.
like
We
how
don't
are they
really
bringing him
know
back?
because she's clearly showed
like-
the ability to bring people back from the dead multiple times. Animals, insects, reptiles, people.
Are they putting Jericho's
So-
soul in that doll and then it becomes a real boy, or or what's going on?
See that too. Yeah.
I think we're going to see attempts on Leanne. Maybe Leanne will start planting the seeds of her own cult with Sean and Dorothy as her first followers. I don't know what we're in store for next season.
Well, I think that point would be like Nicole said. Maybe Leanne is the head
maybe
person.
her cult's the bad.
Yeah,
baddies.
and that'll be her cult. So, yeah, but that's all. Yeah, that's all I.
Maybe we'll get a cohesive house,
Maybe.
Yeah, right?
a unity.
Yeah.
No one's locked in the attic or
Right.
down
Right.
in the dungeon.
Well,
Just a house full of peace.
Oh, if Jericho wasn't in the picture, it's a trinity. The three of them.
true.
Leanne, Sean, and Dorothy.
Well, I hope we get some answers. So,
Well, Dorothy may
M.
leave him in
Night-
the car again. So
yeah, or hurt in some other way.
who knows?
I don't know. So M. Night
True.
Shyamalan, please, or really, I need to really ask Tony Baskalop, since he's the writer, please come through. Come through for us, Tony. Please come through.
Well, we're so happy we were able to cover this season, and we can't wait to cover next season. First of all, big thanks to our guest today, Dylan Nicole. We really appreciate your perspective. And thank you all very much for joining us. We can't wait to see you in season 3. We'll have more Servant coming for you, coming your way in the interim, though, so don't worry.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.